Good evening, Ori and the Blind Forest fans. I am the Roos is Loose. I am joined on commentary by the one and only Clean Fell. Clean Fell, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I'm working production for my fourth game in a row, so I'm kind of on a Ori roll right now, and that's basically all on my mind. So I'm ready to commentate another game. How about you?
That's awesome, dude. So, how many games do you think it would take before you got out of Ori mode and just like pure fatigue set in and you weren't able to handle this anymore?
I think it. I don't think I can really predict it. It just kind of happens. I have a pretty comfy chair, so I won't crash now, but it may be later in an hour or two. I may just crash. So we'll
Excellent. Well, you
see.
only got to make it through one more here. So the race we've got right now in front of us is going to be Vulajin versus SonikBuster. So this is going to be a bit of an interesting match. We're not likely to see a particularly close race. Just realistically, Vulajin's PB is significantly ahead of SonikBuster's. He is an extremely experienced runner. So what we're probably going to be looking for out of these guys is I want to see them run against their own sort of standards. I want to see SonikBuster maybe get a PB or get very close to it. We want to see the same out of Vulajin. So, Cleanfell, why don't you give me a little bit more of a rundown on Vulajin's history with the game?
Vula's basically the veteran. He's been with the game since day one, and he's basically been the main tournament planner for the All Skills tournament. So he's definitely got a real connection with the game. He has a PB about 30-45, so definitely a top tier runner. He's going to have a hybrid setup. He's going to use the controller and a little bit of KBM. He's going to go for all the tricks. He's a guy who's just going to do all the tricks. But again, he's not too confident in whether or not he can do some of them. So we'll see. This is his first
All
race.
right. Looks like we're about to get started. While the race is getting underway, I'll go ahead and introduce SonikBuster to you guys. SonikBuster has been around with the game since vanilla as well. And interestingly, kept running vanilla for quite a while after the definitive edition came out. I guess she just said that she liked that version quite a bit more, but she has switched over now, learned all the new tricks. One interesting thing is she was heavily involved in a fan project with the game's soundtrack where they kind of remixed a lot of the tracks and released them in like different musical styles, which was pretty cool. So right off the bat, both of our runners are going to be headed towards our first skill of the game. We have to collect 11 of them total. The first one is going to be Sign, which is just sort of a basic little laser attack. But right now we have very few skills, and so our options in the game are super limited. You pretty much can just hop right now. So that's going to very, very much limit what the runners are able to do in these early stages. But later on in the game, that'll open up quite a bit. So, Clean, why don't you talk to us a little about some of the intricacies of the Sign ability we're getting?
So there's definitely two main ways you can fire your shots. Because this is a speed run, you want to get out those shots out of sight as fast as possible. So you can either time them or you can mash them. It seems Fula on the right here, on the left, is going to do more of a mashing, and I believe Sonic's also. Well, Sonic actually looks like she's pacing her shots a bit more. So yeah, whichever way, they're both really consistent um, as far as killing enemies go.
Yeah, and so both these players are going to be trying to get themselves down to 1 HP for the upcoming Ghost Door. Real quick, that's just a trick where you basically take an intentional death, skip some animation. Now, Vulajin took some extra damage, and he's at 1 now, so he needs to be a little careful. If he takes a death, he's going to be going way back to a save. Looks like DJ SonikBuster is at 1 as well, so they both need to be super careful here. Vulajin collects his keystone and now just has to get through one more little slime here. He remembers to stop and shoot it instead of damage boosting through like a lot of runners will do in that situation. And now he is setting up his Ghost Store and gets through nicely at around the 211 or so mark, which is pretty good, especially for that little hiccup where he took damage earlier.
Yeah, it's a bit of RNG to get health as far as they go. Luckily, Sonic also knew that they didn't have enough health to get past it, so she will do the Ghost Door as well. And we'll just head down into these caves here, and he's gonna look to set up a timed XP run. Tell us about the XP in this run.
Sure.
Reese?
So a couple of things happen when you level up in this game. First, a giant wave of energy shoots out from you, dealing quite a bit of damage, which is what we're going to be using this level up for, to clear out some obstacles that we would normally have to plink away with our laser to get out. And second, it refills all your health and energy, which is going to come into play with a trick later, which we'll bring up as it arrives. But we should see, oh, Vulajin does a kind of advanced fancy trick where he dodges a little flower there, getting just in between a slime and the flower there. So he doesn't take his level up there. He'll be getting it on the way back out, but it still is going to accomplish the same thing. That is a very risky strat. To pull it out in a marathon is pretty spooky and really speaks to how experienced and confident Bullinger is at this game. And he picks up his wall jump and will now go off to the left to grab a energy cell and then continue on to the next skill of the game.
Yes, Sonic on the right is going to do the timed XP where coming on the way out of the wall jump area, she wants to shoot those brambles that block her path. Looks like Vula, yep, he's gonna do the XP on coming out, so still works out for him pretty well. And now he's gonna head on out of here.
And one thing you can start to look for the more and more Ori runs you see is you start to look for very, very small optimizations. And the key to getting a time like what Vulajin has is really in those small optimizations. Like you can get a time in the 33 range by just really grinding out your runs and practicing to the point where you're not taking a lot of deaths. Like that's doable. But if you want to get to a 30 like what Vulajin has, all those tiny little jumps need to be optimized. All the little charge dashes need to be optimized, things like that. So, really definitely keep a close eye on his movement for those little improvements, like slightly better wall jumps, slightly better turnarounds when he changes momentum, things like that. That's really what separates an amazing runner from a great runner.
Definitely. Ori's it's such an interesting game when it comes to speed running. Again, so many different movement abilities. That allow for some great times. When you don't even realize you're losing time, you could be doing something better. Really can. Vula on the left is heading to Blackroot Burrows, which is a pretty, not really timed area because again, there's a lot of platforms on cycles. It's more of just a dangerous area overall.
Yeah, and we missed Vulajin doing it, but you're going to see on the right-hand side SonikBuster doing a trick called Save Anywhere, where she's going to glitch the game to allow her to play while this menu's still up, and then spend a point once this cutscene starts. That's going to have the effect of saving the game. She'll exit and reload back, and the game will think that the cutscene is already finished. And on your left-hand side, you see Vulajin doing a little reload there. That's just going to kind of reset all those platform cycles in Blackroot that you had mentioned to try and give him an easier path through these fireballs and lasers, and then some bobbing platforms that will come up shortly.
Yeah, Vula got hit a little bit on the spikes, but it looks to be traversing the lasers fine. Sonic is now also into Blackroot, and talk to us about the ability they're getting in Blackroot.
They're going to be getting the skill Dash, which is a new ability in Definitive Edition, and it really drives a lot of how this run works. A lot of games have dashes, Mega Man, things like that. You've seen dashes before, but the dash in Ori is both exceptionally fast and also can be upgraded in several key ways later, which we'll talk about when they arrive. But right off the bat, you're going to see how much it just instantly improves the movement in this run. SonikBuster's having a little bit of trouble getting over to this energy here. The shots from the spider were kind of getting in her way, but she manages to get through and is now going to be taking it across the fireballs. Vulajin is just about to be finished with Blackroot over on the left-hand side, just needs to pull this lever, and then there will be a cutscene where this statue starts to rise up. He's going to use that Save Anywhere trick to skip that cutscene as well, and then we'll be on to his dash tree.
Yeah, the early game is it's more of, since you don't have these abilities yet, it's a lot slower than what you would expect. But as soon as you get dash, this whole run just amps up a ton of notches, and Rula's about to get this ability now. Sonic on the right is actually going to stop for a little bit to try to manipulate the cycles in the next room. I wasn't sure if she stopped for enough time, but we'll see once she gets to the room.
And she's having to be very careful. That big orange wheel in the center bottom of her screen, that's how close she is to leveling up. And she has Magnet, which would mean that if she had killed that slime, it would have pulled her experience to herself. And she needs that time level up later. So if she had killed that slime, it would have lost her quite a bit of time. And it's because of what you can see on the left-hand side Vulajin is doing right now. You can see he's baiting this frog over, and he's going to be bringing it to a 4 energy door. And he only has 2 energy, so he's going to put the 2 in, kill the frog, and level up. Oh no! Vulajin takes an unfortunate death on those spikes, getting caught up in it a little bit, is going to get himself sent back to the dash tree. Definitely not what he's looking for, but he has enough of a comfortable lead that he is still going to be in first despite that death. But to finish my thought, basically they're going to use the timed level up with that frog he's baiting over to give himself 4 energy instead of 2 and sequence break a lot of the game. So he's going to now get his second attempt at it. Hopefully can avoid getting caught up in those spikes a second time.
Yeah, definitely. We got to sequence break the game. We can't play the game normally. That's not how we roll. Because then the run would be much longer than it needs to be. SonikBuster is going to skip the cutscene here, and then we'll get that dash due to Vula dying.
Okay, well, let's watch on the left-hand screen. You can see Vulajin leveled up and refilled his energy and was able to open that door. Now, he is in big danger here. That water he's in is poisonous. That frog, if it stomps on him, will finish him off. He's at very low health here, and because he spent all his energy, he cannot save right now. Goes for a cool swag trick called Death Glide that saves himself a little time. And after picking up this cell, he'll be able to start dropping a safety save. Let's see if he gets through all right. Okay,
doesn't place it yet. There
okay.
it is. He'll place it just on the entrance to Grotto, and then he'll go ahead and try. He'll stop for a second and then try to do a Grotto cycle glitch. Ooh.
Unfortunately, does not make it through to get that faster cycle. It's pretty minor, though. Only loses himself a small handful of seconds. While he goes through those crushers, let's take a look on the right-hand side at SonikBuster taking an attempt at Frogwalk herself. Looks like it's going pretty well so far. Vulajin on the left will be setting up another ghost star for himself, and we'll head down to our next skill of the game, which is double jump. Double jump, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You can probably tell what it does from the name. It's just going to give them the ability to jump a second time in midair, which a lot of games, extra jumps are mostly used to move yourself upwards, but Ori has pretty interesting movement mechanics. They're very much geared towards horizontal movement. And the second jump, it does get you a little bit further up in the air, but it's primarily going to be used to go farther with horizontal glides. Oh, SonikBuster. That was really spooky. So that frog, she positioned it pretty well and manages to not let it stomp on her head there.
That's still very nice, yeah. But
I wonder if that was intentional. I think I've seen her do that before.
Yeah, it looked good. It looks good, but man, that was spooky.
Yeah, if that frog had stepped on her, she would have been going all the way back to the bash tree again. Now, Vulajin on your left-hand side goes for a trick called Grotto Skip. That doesn't really look like much when you get it as cleanly as Vulajin just did there, but that's actually a pretty gigantic sequence break. There's a large area to the left the game wants you to go through, and by getting that very precise wall jump, he doesn't have to do any of it, and he can just exit this Moon Grotto area that we're in. SonikBuster doesn't look like she was really attempting to go for God Cycle there, so she'll just be even with Vula, who missed his attempt, and will be starting to make her way over to double jump as well.
Vula skipping just a few more cutscenes as he makes his way out of Moon Grotto. This whole segment between Moon Grotto to the next area, the Ginzo tree, it's not really about tricks, but it's definitely again, as you said earlier, about just optimizing those little jumps that you're able to make the saves of just a few seconds. But it doesn't look like much, but yeah.
This section he's playing on the way to the Ginso tree is not one that you die on very often, but it is one you lose time on quite a bit. A lot of these walls require some pretty finicky wall jumps and some very precise jumping. So when you're trying to push for those really top tier times, this split is actually one of the more difficult ones to deal with.
SonikBuster is actually going to use the save, as Vula did earlier, is to skip the animation of the tree and just head on right out of the area, saving a few seconds. Vula's going to go get an ability cell that he'll use later on to level up more abilities to save.
Takes a little bit of damage on that spike there. It should be okay as long as he plays this safe. He just doesn't really have any safety net to work with anymore. Goes for a pretty gutsy dash glide over that spike there. That if he had hit that after taking damage earlier, he definitely would have died. But Vulajin's kind of making a statement here. He wants to get a good run, regardless of how it affects his race. I think, given how much higher seeded he is, like I said earlier, he's sort of motivated as running against himself here, and he wants to show what he's capable of. So he's going to keep doing his tough stuff, even when there's a lot of danger involved.
And I gotta give notice actually to on the right to Sonic, who gets that first try grotto skip as well, and that was very executed very nicely. Um, Again, yeah, so that's a trick that's usually can even be messed up by veteran runners, but Sonic here is able to make it very nicely, and she'll make her way up as well. Tell us about the vertical oriented dungeon here, Bruce.
Yeah, as I had mentioned earlier, a lot of Ori's abilities are all about increasing your horizontal mobility. And if you look at this dungeon, it's not very horizontal. It's pretty much just a straight up and down corridor. So it's an interesting area of the game because your abilities get tested in ways here that they really don't anywhere else. It's all about your ability to climb. And you're going to see a lot of cool, platform jumps, a lot of interesting movement through teleporters and things like that on their way up. So Vulajin's just doing a little bit of a puzzle here where you have to redirect this shot to break your way into this room. Next one is going to have a mini boss we have to fight. Now, this is one of the few places that Vulajin uses keyboard and mouse. You can see his little scroll or his cursor on the screen. The reason he's doing that is because a mouse has a scroll wheel on it, and by binding your laser attack to that scroll wheel, you're able to get optimum shots out slightly easier. And so he can get faster cycles on that mini boss and kills it nice and quickly. And we'll be on to the next area without much trouble.
And yeah, actually getting a little notice here on the right side. Sonic is going to go for a bit of a weird XP route because they're going to get a big XP cell that usually is not in the main run anymore, but she's gonna level up twice now, so it definitely a more interesting XP route
Very
that we've
interesting.
seen.
So Vulajin just got to the Bash tree, and to my mind, Ori and the Blind Forest as a speedrun is divided into two halves. There's Ori before Bash and there's Ori after Bash, because this ability changes how you move that much. The basic idea on Bash is you grab onto an enemy or projectile or certain environmental triggers, and you throw yourself in one direction and the enemy or shot in the opposite direction. So that can be used, as we just saw Vulajin do, to redirect shots. It can be used to move yourself. It can be used to keep yourself airborne and gliding around. It's just a super, super versatile technique that's going to be used very extensively for the rest of the run, and I think it's just beautiful to watch.
So you're gonna watch Vula put keys to the door and then intentionally die. That is for a reason, because in the end, we're not going to clean up the water, because if you keep going out this dungeon, you'll just clean up the water. But we're not going to do that because it's not as much time. And we're going to dupe the keys by intentionally dying by having the door so that we can use them later on, because the keys that we need are in poison water.
Yeah, and not only does it avoid having to swim, but it's actually just faster to get the keys this way than to get them the intended way either anyway. Ooh, Vulajin with an interesting boss strategy there. Put himself in some danger, but fortunately knows that when you kill the mini boss, those platforms come up and he keeps himself out of spikes. So we're getting an interesting update from our stats people, and they're saying that Sonic is on PB pace by about 30 seconds as of entering the Ginso tree. So as I said at the beginning, this is really what we're looking for out of her, is to put on a really good race performance and ideally walk away from this with a new personal best run, which would be really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. She may not have the time that is looks like to be from other veteran players, but she's definitely made a name for herself for constantly improving on her time. And so yeah, I hope that we can see that from her. Vula on the left side is attempting another interesting sequence break to get into the swamp, because there is ability we need in there. He's going to be manipulating this frog shot to break some terrain with some very nice bashing. He's going to get it. Very nice.
Gets through first try. Very nice. That trick is quite a bit harder than it looks. It's very finicky getting that frog into the correct position the entire time, and if you mess it up at all, you have to go quite a ways back. On your right-hand side, Sonic is attempting the mini-boss herself. Looks like she's having a little bit of trouble with some of the optimum cycles, but as long as she doesn't die on it, she should be okay.
The boss does have a little bit of randomness to it, or a little bit of RNG. So it will depend. Sometimes you'll have better times coming out than later. Vula has gotten the ability in Swamp, which is Stomp. You can stomp in the air to go move down a lot faster than just falling. It's also used for certain tricks we'll have later on. So now he's going to head out of here.
Important to note, even though that water looks nice and blue and inviting, because we skipped the Ginso escape, all water for the rest of the run is poisonous. So if they touch it at all, they will instantly start taking damage. So it's very important that despite all of this high-flying movement, they don't mess it up at all and fall into that water. So he's going to grab an ability cell here and continue onwards. Very nice.
Sonic is going to do another Ghost Door glitch. And we also got another cutscene skip coming up for Vula. Let's see if he can pull it off. Very nice. So it didn't look like anything happened there, but he actually did a really interesting buffered bash, which allows you to skip over a certain part of the terrain, which will activate a cutscene. So that saves about 17 seconds for him able to do that. So that was very nice.
Well done, well done. So on the right-hand side earlier, Sonic had a little bit of trouble with her Ghost Door. I didn't see exactly what happened, but it looked like she didn't have the keys in, so she ended up having to recollect the keys through that room and then get her Ghost Door. So good adaptation on her part to be able to realize what went wrong and fix it and get onto the bash tree herself.
What a weird bash off of that enemy coming into here. This is Charge Flame, which is, again, usually a skill we get like the third one, but it's actually, in this run, it's actually the 7th. So definitely a weird kind of sequence we have for speedrunning.
Yeah, and it's not a trick you're really gonna, it's not a skill you're gonna see used in the speedrun really. The biggest and most important reason, other than it just being required, is that it unlocks in our ability tree the ability to get air dash. And that's just gonna allow us to use our dash skill in mid-air. And that can be combined with our bashes and our double jumps and things like that to really start to turn our speed up to 11. So it's a super important thing to have unlocked. And now that Vulajin is in the Valley of Wind, which is where some of the movement starts to become really difficult and dangerous, you can Ori's ability and like tool set is going to improve to match it as well.
Sonic's a little slow, but is able to get the key dupe. Very nice. So she's going to continue to move throughout. Ginzo, ooh, takes a little bit of death, but she has to save.
All right, so important trick coming up on the left-hand screen for Vulajin. He's going to be coming up to a trick called Fast Stompless. You've probably seen it before, where he's going to shoot a fireball from a spider towards some rocks far off to the left, and then he's going to race it to go grab this cell that's back to the right here. Now, he has said that this trick is his nemesis, and he says that if he misses it once, he's not going to attempt it a second time. That shot looked like it was on the right angle. He's now racing it to this cell. He has to get to the cell before the shot hits because it teleports him into Valley once it hits, and it is good. He grabbed the cell. Cutscene is playing, which means that the shot hit, and he will be teleported into Valley successfully. Very,
awesome
very
job.
nicely done. Fast Stompless by Vulajin.
Yeah, he talked with us. That was the one trick he said definitely the most iffy about, and seeing him able to pull it off must feel very nice for Vula.
Yeah, both of these guys are controller runners, and it is a little more difficult to do Fast Stompless on controller because you have to aim that shot very precisely. And when you're using a mouse, you can use some visual cues where you put your cursor on certain environmental objects. But with a controller, you just kind of have to man mode it and just point that bash in the direction and know you're doing it correctly.
Right, Vula's heading up to the biggest sequence break in the game called Sorrow Bash. He's going to be manipulating this bird to try to get through this elbow of spikes.
Gets it perfectly first try. Very nicely done by Vulajin. That is super, super difficult. It's one of the biggest brick walls for new runners is learning how to do that trick, and Vulajin made it look so easy. And he's now rocket jumping his way up through Sorrow Pass. And keep in mind, every single one of those Dorito spikes you see is completely lethal for him right now. And he has no safety saves down, so he'll be going way back to the feather ability if he hits any of those. On the right-hand side, you can see DJ Sonic Buster is working on her own swamp entry. She's got the frog in the right position. She's now doing the bashes, gets the roof open, and is on into swamp herself. That's first try for her, which is really, really good, especially for a runner in her PB range. That can be a super, super difficult trick that can kill runs constantly, and to get it first try is very good.
That's right. So, Will is going to use another save area glitch to break through a wall using just Ori's body. It's kind of weird, but saving the right place will make the game think, oh, I guess this platform shouldn't be here, so it gets rid of it.
And he's floating his way up to the Sunstone, which is the key to the final dungeon. We can't go there quite yet after this. We still have a couple of skills we have to collect, but this is the best time to grab it now while we're here in Sorrow instead of making a revisit later. So here we are. He's going to use the save anywhere yet again to skip a cutscene, and quite a long cutscene it is too. We actually saw it in our last race. Fant had some troubles with his save anywhere, and we got to see it there. Kind of a rare treat to get to see some of these cutscenes because we skip them so often.
Yeah, we don't care about the lore in this game, sadly. You can play it just normally to actually care, but for right now, we're just worrying about finishing up the game. Bula is going to head out of here and head to Misty. Definitely a really fun section because it's all about just movement based, but it can be a little tricky and spooky because it does deal a lot of damage if you mess up.
So Sonic attempted to get up to that ability cell after on the way out of swamp, but her frog fell into some spikes, and instead of picking up the cell, she just continues onward. I'm really curious as to what her plan is to make up for that lost point. Now, her overall experience route so far this run has been very unusual, not something that you see out of a lot of other runners, so maybe she has routed a backup plan for if she misses that cell. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. She does miss her Kuro cutscene skip, but it's not too big a deal. It's only about 17 seconds. So let's take a look on the left-hand side of the screen at Vulajin making his way through Misty Woods. He's on pretty solid pace, and the movement... Oh, just as I say that, commentator's curse. But he had a great safety save there. Wow. That is really, really good foresight to put that safety save down. Yeah, nicely done.
Very timed. It seemed expected, like he knew he would mess up at that area by putting that save down. So it worked out in his favor, and he's now at the climb tree, which isn't used too much in the run. But he's going to just head up there. Sonic is doing something kind of interesting. She's not going for the energy cell that you'd get if you kept going all the way.
Yeah, there's a 5th energy cell there, which is faster to get if you're using it optimally for charge dashes, but I guess she maybe doesn't feel super comfortable with her charge dashes and opts not to get it. She also grabbed an extra health cell, which will allow her to survive a hit on those spikes in the Sorrow Pass area, which she must be nervous about.
Check out this awesome movement here coming from Bula. As he was,
oh man, we need to stop talking about Vulajin's run because every time we do, he hits spikes.
But yeah, he has some. Again, he still has some pretty amazing bashes there coming off of some of the enemies, which is that's kind of what it's all about in Misty. It's all just about bashing and charge bashing, and charge dashing all of these enemies here.
Without a doubt, this section that he's in is my absolute favorite part of the run. Whenever I practice ILs, like this is what I load up first and just run through this section over and over because it is so satisfying to get this movement correctly, where you're just flying between these enemies and swinging through spikes and barely missing them over and over. Really, really cool section. So, thanks for dying, Vulajin. We get to watch it twice.
Yep. He's going to make a safety save there. So again, that's still very nice. He's gonna head. He's got all the keys he needs and the.
And he did do what are known as the meatball strats, where he damage boosts onto the top of one of those little spiked things and makes his way through this area faster. And he's now going to be headed his way up to the Misty mini boss, which is sort of a pair of little slug-like creatures that are going to jump out of the ground and fire some fireballs at him. But because of a quick kill strat, you barely even get a chance to see them.
Yep,
instantly
they're gone. There they go. And so he's got the keys in. He's just going to head into this area with the orb. We're not actually going to use it to clear the fog. We're just using it so the Misty Woods can reset and we can actually have an exit out of here. He's got climb, and now he's heading to back to Black Group Rose to get his final ability called Grenade.
On the right-hand side, you can see SonikBuster is opting not to go for the fast Nautilus trick. She just goes right up and gets that cell. Not a bad decision. This is a very tough trick, and the consequences for failing it are severe. So rather than, save that small handful of seconds, she just decides it's not worth risking losing 30 seconds to a minute, and she does it sort of the intended way. Now, Vulajin doing a optional, very long save anywhere here. He's gonna have to do a save anywhere inside the deep portion of this cavern here, and rather than set the save up later on, he decides to do this entire section sort of half blind with the ability menu up in front of him, adding greatly to the difficulty, but saving himself that tiny little bit. That's that minor optimization that gets you the top tier times that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, it was definitely very nice. With that UI on, it's again very hard to see, but with enough practice, you'll be able to move very consistently, even though basically half your view is obscured. So Jin's got all of his abilities. He's now just gonna head to Horu to get the final escape and complete his run. Sonic.
Yeah, unfortunately, he bonked on a rocket jump there, so that kind of throws his laser cycles off here and further prevents him from doing a couple of the fastest movements options here as well. But he's now through it and just has to escape this boulder. Ooh! Narrowly avoids those spikes, grabs some extra safety health, and will be teleporting under the Ginso tree, which is right near the final area we need to go, and we'll be headed on to the end. On your right-hand side, SonikBuster is taking her attempt at Sorrow Bash. This is going to be a make or break trick for her because, as I said earlier, for a lot of runners, this is a trick that really kind of defines how good your run is. If you get it quickly, you have a good run. If you get it slowly, you have a bad one. And she gets it. I think that was second try. Yeah. Very nicely done.
Ooh, that was close, but yeah, that was very nice.
Yeah, manages to cobble together a correct Sorrow Bash there. And rocket jumps her way up to the keys here, is going to come back down. Looks like she's going to grab this energy for maybe a safety save, and yes, very nicely done. I very much agree with the decision to make that save.
Yeah, you definitely only super veteran runners would have no safety saves going through Sorrow. So again, that was very nice. Vula's at Horu now, but we need to do two more. This frame perfect trick, which will allow Vula to actually teleport to the end of the dungeon by just pressing, leaving the dungeon at the exact frame, and oh my!
He gets it correctly, but then unfortunately slides down the wall into some. That's a pretty minor time loss. The game saves for you after entering, so he wrong warps his way to the bottom of the dungeon. Is now starting the final escape sequence. This is a very, very dangerous final escape sequence because there is a long swimming section at the end that's going to get him down to optimally 2 health. He has an extra safety health, so he can take 1 extra hit. But everything in this area, all that lava, all these falling rocks, those do more damage than he has a margin of safety for. So if he takes any damage, he must kill himself and start this entire sequence over again.
He did take 6 health though, so he doesn't have to worry about manipulating this fish in the water section, which is still poison because we did not pick it up. So
this is the dangerous part. He's taken 3 hits, 4 and 5, and he manages to make it out. So he did need that safety health that he got. Very nice decision there. He's now going to be coming up to the final trick, grenade jump. He's going to throw a grenade and then jump off the wall the frame after, and ideally it's going to boost him through a cutscene trigger at the end, and he will skip about half of the final cutscene at the end of the game. Having a little bit of trouble with it. He's had 3 attempts at it so far. If he can calm down and get this quickly, he'll still be able to walk out of here with a respectable time. Almost out of energy, that is correct. And he gets it, very nice.
Last energy, he's able to make it because throwing a grenade does require energy. But he did not soft lock, which will cause him have to redo the final escape. He's going to get a very nice time of around 32 minutes. Very nice jump.
He's going to have, something in the 32-30 range or so. Very respectable time out of him. I'm sure Vulajin, he's the kind of guy who's hard on himself and always tries to improve, so I'm sure he would tell you about all the mistakes in this run, but I want you guys to keep in mind all of the amazing things he did in this run and walked away with a very, very competitive time. Nicely done from Vulajin. Time will come when Naru walks behind this tree here, and he gets a 32-25, looks like. Very nicely done, Vulajin.
So now all your attention here will be on Sonic, who's leaving Sorrow Pass, and she will make her way to Misty. Again, since she only has 4 energy slots, she may not be trying out the charge dashes as much because if if I was someone with kind of, and I kind of am someone with that PB pace, I want to do a lot of safety saves here because dying, being sent back all the way, it's definitely a heartbreaker there.
All right, and we now get to see Sonic taking her attempt at Misty as well. And I think it's cool to see Sonic is doing a lot of these things like the charge dash to bashes, which are new in Definitive Edition. Like I mentioned at the start, she ran vanilla for a long time, even after Definitive Edition came out. So I imagine with that much vanilla experience, it's a little hard to adapt your muscle memory to a lot of the new Definitive Edition stuff. But it looks like she's been practicing and has started to pick up some of the DE exclusive tech. Very nicely done on her part.
Yeah, so she's gonna head to her climb. She was behind of her PB at first, but then she kind of made up some time. And we'll have an official update on what her pace is when she gets to the climb tree. But currently, she's doing quite well maneuvering through. She's gonna get an extra energy up here and just make her way throughout these very deadly spikes.
And she's played fairly cleanly after Sorrow Bash. I haven't seen any massive mistakes out of her. So if she's close to her PB pace, I got to imagine she is definitely improving her lead right now.
Gets hits once in the spikes, but it's going to be able to make it and get to the tree.
And very nice. So now we get to see that really cool back half of Misty section out of her again, what we saw Vulajin do earlier. We'll see how many of the charge dashes and rocket jumps she's managed to incorporate into her game so far. This is a cool split because there's so many variations and strategies that runners approach it with. There's certain things that are, very difficult but save a few frames over other strats. So depending on the runner's experience level, they'll have implemented more or less of those very difficult movement strategies. Taking a nice little safety save there. This is a pretty good place for one, especially because she still has 3 energies. So you may be able to afford another one later. And this is a very lethal section of the game, so safety saves are very high value right now.
Sonic's actually 2 minutes and 13 seconds ahead of her personal best. So yeah, again, she's been very consistent moving throughout Misty, and we hope that this PB pace will keep up.
That's excellent. Deciding to drop another safety save. I wonder if she knows that she's this far ahead of PB pace and is opting to drop extra safety saves just to be like, okay, maybe I don't do this as fast as possible, but if I just don't have a disaster, I'll be okay.
She gets a little caught up in the spikes there, but she's able to make it up to here, the last keystone.
Oh, takes an unfortunate death. I bet she's happy to have that safety save now.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, and I would also have expected before she took that death there by that sniper shot of the slime. Oh, it gets hit again at death again by the spikes, that same place where she got caught up last time. But I'm assuming she would also take another safety save when she gets this last keystone.
I think she's trying to do a setup that worked in vanilla where you use the D-pad to angle your bash to the right and it would just fall straight through those spikes. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think that actually works in the Definitive Edition anymore. Maybe one of the more veteran controller players can correct me on that one. But it looks like she's gotten through it this time and is climbing her way up towards the Misty mini-boss. Okay. Doesn't opt for the rocket jump you can do here. Instead just bashes her way out. That is perfectly fine. I am definitely a fan of her saving as much energy for safety saves as she can right now.
And there you go. There's another safety save as she goes through the meatball shaft and heads up to the mini boss. Because of her low energy, she may not be able to do the quick kill. She may have her own strategy. If a way to kill the mini bosses and not too long is you just charge jump at them, which that looks like what she's doing there.
And she did a nice little rocket jump up there, so she's definitely attempting some pretty aggressive strats, which I like to see. She's not entirely going for safety, and she's definitely embraced a lot of the DE tech, which is really, really cool to see out of somebody who has been, on vanilla strats for so long. She gets through the Misty mini boss, just has to go trigger this final transformation of the Misty dungeon, and then can head on to get Light Grenade and then go finish the game.
Yeah, definitely have enjoyed the attitude that she's had with yeah, again, she may not realize she's ahead of PB, but with a runner like this, it's good to just kind of save, and if you know you're doing good and you don't want to lose some time, putting out a save will definitely not hurt you in the long run.
Yeah, one of the things that veteran runners say to new Ori runners all the time, not that, Sonic is a new runner, she's actually one of the most veteran ones, but to anybody who's picking up this game or is thinking about picking it up, the most important time save in Ori in the Blind Forest is not dying. And if you can't avoid that, if you have to die, do it with a safety save right nearby you. Getting any number of tricks, getting Fast Stompless, getting God Cycle, those are tiny little improvements that really don't matter in the face of just not dying. Like, that's getting a deathless run even without great movement will get you those times, like a 35, a 36, something like that. So for newer runners who are shooting for those kind of improvements, just play safe and take the safety saves and don't die. It's okay to be a little slow as long as you survive. And she's now working her way down into the lower Blackroot Burrows area to go and get Light Grenade herself. She's got plenty of energy to set up the save anywheres here and skip the cutscene, has the point she needs. So apparently was able to route correctly to get around missing that ability cell that she didn't get earlier, and is not going to have any troubles with it.
Yeah, she adapted well. As Sonic goes through the Light Grenade, we're actually go ahead and bring in Vula here for interview a few questions about his race, so we'll bring him in here.
Hey, Vulajin, congratulations on your race.
Thank you very much.
Very well done. Lots of good play to be proud of there. So, quick question from me. So you, Vulajin, obviously are one of the most experienced and OG of Ori runners. Specifically, you've run this game twice on the biggest stage in speedrunning. My question is about nerves. I know you obviously have to get super nervous for a GDQ run, but having conquered that twice, do you still experience any nerves for a tournament race like this?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really today. Uh, I know the question is motivated by like the Frankie walk death, for example, and like I didn't really have that much in the way of nerves. I think for both Sonic and me, this was kind of a like the most like leisurely way for both of us to get into this tournament, such as it is, obviously. There were going to be pretty low expectations on both of us for this match, so it was going to be good for both of us to kind of settle in. But yeah, it wasn't really nerves today, but I do still get them. I certainly will when I go up against further opponents, and especially in the bracket.
Well, that's good to know. So for any of the newer runners who are, feeling really nervous and are wondering, oh man, is it just me? Definitely not just you. Even the most experienced runners still feel them. Cleanfell, you got any questions for Vulajin?
So you've said that your PB for the early game it was not on par. You quoted garbage, but I didn't want to say that. But
that is the word I used, yes.
So what did you feel about this run's early game compared to others?
I mean, the Frankie walk death was kind of whatever. Like I had already messed up Frankie walk in my practice right before the race too, so I was kind of like, oh, that's probably gonna happen. Oh well, and it did. But otherwise, the early game was pretty solid. I didn't get Grotto Cycle, but I don't really care too much about that. Mostly, I'm just happy overall with the run that I did pretty much all my strats that I do in PBs. Like everything that I did there is stuff that I do in real attempts, other than the safety saves. So
yeah,
overall, I'm pretty happy.
Walking away with a mid to low 32 with a Frankie walk death is a very respectable run. Definitely a lot went right there.
That's right. Sonic is finally at Hora here with a very nice time of 42. I still believe she's on PB pace. She's gonna attempt door warp here. I believe Vula took you your second try.
Yeah, 2 tries. That's right.
2 tries. So we'll see how it goes for Sonic here.
I'm gonna duck out while you guys call this. Good luck, Sonic.
And GG to you, Vulajin. And
First-
first try from Sonic. Very nice. Well
Wow.
done.
Yeah, wow, that was super impressive. Frame perfect trick. It's not easy. And I could definitely tell that that was one that would hurt times, even though like it doesn't like you can do it many times. You just kind of get in the habit of keep missing it. So being able to pull it off first attempt was very nice. So Sonic's definitely on a PB pace here. We're not sure of how much, maybe about 2 minutes. So
yeah,
she has a
stats guys are confirming 2 minutes ahead, and that first try door warp is definitely going to help out with that.
So yeah, let's see if, how the final escape goes for her. She has 6 health, so she doesn't manipulate any fish in the water.
She does have 1 extra safety health for the swim here, so that'll provide a little bit of margin of error, but it's definitely still possible to die in the water even at 6 health. So she's got to be careful here. 1.
Have a little
okay,
bit.
taking 2, 3. Okay,
Ooh.
she's got to be careful. Oh, she just barely makes it out. That was
super
so close to ticking the last damage over. Now, she's not out of danger yet. She has to avoid hitting any of these boulders here. She's playing it very safe and hugging to the left side, manages to avoid it. And she looks like she's getting into position for the grenade jump here and is going to go for it. Her position looks good here, so if she can get it quickly, and she does, and does not soft block, that is definitely a huge PB.
Yeah,
very, very nice job from her.
Super nice. She threw out like just a little grenade at first, but actual trying that was super nice, and I'd call that a first try.
I'd call that a first try. Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
Going to be a very, very juicy PB for her there. At least 2 minutes. I think maybe more if I had to guess. She's probably going to come in sub 45. So, huge improvement out of her. So what I said I was looking for out of this race right at the beginning is exactly what we got. We got a very solid run out of Vulajin. We got a PB out of SonikBuster. We'll wait to get the final time confirmed from the truck. Looking to be a 44:36. Very, very nice. That's it's got to be so cool to have your PB be in a race like this, where you can load up speedrun.com and just submit a race VOD with commentary for your personal best. That's a pretty nice feeling, I'd have to imagine. And that did come in at a 1:49 personal best. Very, very good work out of her.
Super nice. I gotta give it to many things. That her tricks, she's able to pull off grenade jump and door warp on first try. Very nice. There's also the safetiness of Misty and Sorrow. She played it very nicely, not dying too many times, which definitely was a success for her. And also just having so just a good early game and game overall, I'd say. So again,
yeah, I definitely
nice
feel
indeed.
like the way that she played everything from Sorrow Bash onwards so cleanly and solidly was what led to this PB. So let's get talking about tomorrow, because tomorrow is a huge day for the Ori tournament. There are going to be a total of 8 matches starting at 12 EST. The very first one is going to be Terra 21 versus Oshi. And that one will be starting us off with a block that's not going to stop until 7 p.m. EST. And then we'll even have one more after that at midnight. So, I mean, if you're looking for Ori races, that's going to be definitely the one to check out. There are a couple of very interesting and hype ones. I'll definitely shout out Staffu versus Delira, which will be at 1 p.m. EST. That's going to be a super, super good race. Staffu and Delira, both very fast, very capable runners. And given the way Ori can go, it's definitely anybody's game there. Is there anything tomorrow that you're particularly excited about, Cleanfell?
Tomorrow we actually finally have from the first day the Yoko and Sikinar race had to be delayed due to some issues from one of the runners. But since then, they're actually able to increase their time substantially. So it's definitely a very different race from what we expected on the first day, where they'd have around maybe 50 something minute times. But now they're their PBs are now in the 40s, so it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
I'm really excited for that one. The two of them have just been like PBing back and forth almost every day. It's going to be sort of a very interesting race to see which of them has been able to come farther in the week since their race was originally scheduled.
Yeah, so I believe also, Bruce, you have a race tomorrow.
I do, yes. I'll be racing Mr. Randomson. I think that's going to be a really good one too. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but both of our PBs are very close together, both in the 32s. So it's going to be pretty much a deciding match for our group who comes away with that one.
That's
So we
right.
can see on screen our final group stats for Mount Horu as of now. Vulajin advances to 1-0. This is an interesting group we have here. Vulajin at 1-0, J-Hobbs at 1-0, and Red Red Rum at 1-0. And
That may be a
so,
glitch, actually.
is that? Oh, we don't win. Red does not have a win. I don't think she's played yet. So Red is still 0-0, has not done any races. But Hobbs and Vulajin both at 1-0. Vulajin with the better race time has the higher seed currently. But if Hobbs manages to get a better time in one of his two remaining races, he can steal back that first spot. So very exciting group we've got going on here with still a lot of action potential yet to come. So I think that'll about do it for us tonight. Cleanfell, thank you so much for commentating with me. It was a pleasure.
Definitely a fun day, and a fun night. Hope you all enjoyed it as well.
All right, and we will see you back here tomorrow at 12 noon EST for Terra versus Oshi. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Much love to the Ori community. Have a great night.
I can tell you that I have for myself is that it's sort of okay to reset runs until you get to double jump. Of course, in a race, you won't reset your run regardless, but just getting past all of these initial really mean tricks. Fant did get his death glide, by the way. Getting past all these initial and press the same button in 1/60th of a second. That's not easy to do.
You also know, however, that Pugel has frustrations with the non-double bash setup for this trick, which is kind of, oh, then there she finally gets it.
We will see how this goes, as always. It's a very precise shot.
Unfortunately, Pugel misses the shot, but she did get the cell. Opting to die and try again, it looks.
Stop and try to dodge the frog shots while opening up the save anywhere. It also, well, it doesn't actually save you energy because you could use a rekindle save for the ghost door anyway. But it is quite a bit riskier. You need. Oh god.
Oh no, elemental. Oh,
Fant. Oh my god. My heart can't.
Opting to just keep trying, though. Come on,
Fant, I believe in you. At this point, it might almost be a pride thing.
There it is.
Nice.
Doesn't
Got the
soft
grenade
lock
jump.
either.
You can always. I haven't known Pugel very long, but she seems to have a sort of stubborn attitude, which I think is sort of a good thing when it comes to these runs. But okay,
All right.
that's it. Deciding to finish it out. Pugel's gonna have to hold right for a longer.
Misses it once, he's not going to attempt it a second time. That shot looked like it was on the right angle. He's now racing it to this cell. He has to get to the cell before the shot hits because it teleports him into Valley once it hits, and it is good. He grabbed the cell, cut.
Right, Vula's heading up to the biggest sequence break in the game called Sorrow Bash. He's going to be manipulating this bird to try to get through this elbow of spikes.
Gets
Ooh,
it perfectly first try. Hits any of those. On the right-hand side, you can see DJ SonikBuster is working on her own swamp entry. She's got the frog in the right position. She's now doing the bashes, gets the roof open, and is on. For a lot of runners, this is a trick that really kind of defines how good your run is. If you get it quickly, you have a good run. If you get it slowly, you have a bad one. And she gets it. I think that was second game. Having a little bit of trouble with it. He's had 3 attempts at it so far. If he can calm down and get this quickly, he'll still be able to walk out of here with a respectable time. Almost out of energy, that is correct. And he gets it, very nice.
Last energy.
Safe and hugging to the left side, manages to avoid it. And she looks like she's getting into position for the grenade jump here and is going to go for it. Her position looks good here, so if she can get it quickly. And she does, and does not soft block. That is definitely a